welcome to the reading for, I guess you could say, Thanksgiving Eve. I don't know if that expression is actually used, but that's what it is, right? So before I begin with the reading, in case I don't get a chance to say it to some of you tomorrow, hey, have a wonderful Thanksgiving Day. And I hope you're going to be with family or friends or both, and that your Thanksgiving is truly wonderful and that you get some good food, some good fellowship, and some good cheer, and just really just good things in general. I guess I should mention it. Today's reading, which is, oh darn it, today's reading, which is called There Is Always More, it's kind of in line with the thought for the day for today, which, as I said when I read the thought for the day, is from a figure who, to say the least, is controversial and is definitely not liked by a lot of people who look at these readings or read these readings, listen to these readings. I know, but some people I know are big fans of this guy, and a bunch of people are out in the middle. But just because somebody is really controversial and you don't like him doesn't mean to say that he doesn't have good things to say. And it was actually from Donald Trump, and it fits in with this. He simply said, you know, if you're going to be thinking anyway, think big. And I see nothing wrong with that statement. And it ties in because the reading today is called There's Always More. And I thought, well, these two things kind of fit together. So my apologies if any of you are upset that I quote from Donald Trump, but hey, you know, I am someone who takes Jesus at his word, who says, you know, love everybody. Literally, love your enemies, love your friends, love everybody. So there you are. First quote's from Louise Gluck, who I'd never heard of. She, despite this GL umlaut CK, she was an American, and she passed. She was 80. She passed away a couple of years ago, and she was a famous poet. She was an author, a writer, I guess a commentator, and she actually won the Nobel Prize in Literature. When did she win? Oh, in 2020, which was kind of cool. What did she say? More to the point, she says, we look at the world once in childhood. The rest is memory. And Ernest Holmes, on a similar vein, said, in the intangible realm of the spiritual world, in the mind of God, a pattern for everything we see originates and exists. And this is really pure Plato. I mean, this is straight out of Plato, who said and believed, and I've mentioned it before on more than one occasion, that Plato believed that for everything that you see in the material world, there is a perfect spiritual image behind it, and that what you see in the material realm is simply a reflection of that perfect thing that exists. And so when Holmes says, in the intangible realm of the spiritual world, in the mind of God, a pattern for everything we see originates and exists. And this is kind of more down to earth from Rev David Alexender, who says, the other day, standing in front of the paint counter at my local hardware store, I had one of those unexpected moments of wonder. He says, there on a metal hoop hung an old Pantone color chart, the kind that folds neatly, with only a single color visible on the cover. He says, at first glance, it seemed so simple. One swatch, one shade, one possibility. But as I found it open, a whole spectrum revealed itself, hues that couldn't have been guessed at from the cover alone. That loop of cards became a teaching tool, reminding me that what appears on the surface of life is never the full picture. Says, how often do we try to solve life's mysteries as if they were one-dimensional, looking for singular answers to infinitely layered experiences? In moments of struggle, we easily believe that what we see is all there is. Yet spiritual teachings invite us to go deeper. They remind us that beyond surface appearances, there's dimension, depth, and mystery beyond our comprehension. Ernest Holmes often spoke of thinking behind the thought, of moving past the effects we see into the cause beneath them, the unshakable truth that all is God. And like the Pantone chart, life holds more than the single color that we think defines us. Faith isn't naive positivity. It is the quiet, steady trust that there's a wholeness unfolding beyond what's immediately visible. He says, next time you face a challenge, pause and imagine fanning open the color wheel. There's always more to the story, more to you, more to the divine patterning that holds it all. And I'm going to do the affirmation because it really ties things up. He says, I rest beyond appearances, trusting the infinite dimensions of spirit to work in all things. And it's true, we often just look at the surface of things. We really and truly are just starting to understand how the universe works. We're not even sure how we work. Yeah, we know way, way, way more than we did 100 years ago. And 100 years ago, they knew way, way, way more than they did 100 years before that. But the real truth is that we're really just scratching the surface. And we're often scratching the surface about ourselves. So as David Alexander is pointing out here, we need to look beyond appearances. Look beyond what seems to be happening. And I often think about this. My wife loves something that it's called forensic evidence. I'm not too keen because it's all about how forensic evidence was used to uncover almost always murders. Not always, but like 99% of the time it's about murders. And how they look beyond the surface to see what's going on. But then again, they really don't look completely. All they're trying to do is solve who did it. Sometimes they're trying to solve why it was done, but most of the time it's who did it, and then they'll try and say why it was done. But the obvious answer to me is that they don't really know why it's done. They may know that this guy killed this woman to get the insurance money, or this woman killed the guy because she wanted to go off with another lover. But what we don't know is truly what's going on in the heads of everyone. We don't even know often what's going on in our own head. And I think that where our judicial system falls down is it doesn't make a distinction between somebody doing an evil deed just for the sake of it and what's actually going on in their head. What is mental illness? Some deeds are so bizarre and so out of line with normality that there's obviously something going on in people's heads. And I guess eventually we'll learn how to treat mental illness, not as a crime, but as what it is, as mental illness, and we'll be able to cure it, and we'll be able to bring people back to normality again. So instead of locking them up for decades or executing them, although that's less the case nowadays, that we'll actually figure out a way to bring this person back to normality again. So anyway, that's what I got out of this. I started looking beneath the surface of people who do deeds which are not normal and which are not normal in a not good sense. So anyway, I know I'm rambling a bit, but that is where I'm at. So I trust that there is good beneath everything. Emma Curtis Hopkins once was quoted, I don't know if she really said it, but she's quoted as saying that all bad stuff is done in the name of good. Is that true? I don't know. But what I do know is that beneath every person, there is some good in there, and it's our job to try and find it. And that once as a race we start looking for the good, then we'll start seeing more good. Because, hey, I truly believe if you really, really believe something, it's going to manifest in some way, shape, or form. So, once again, have a wonderful Thanksgiving Day, and I'll be back tomorrow early because I have to leave here at 3:30 Central Time, or 3 Central Time, to be with our family. It's either going to be early, like 2:45, or it's going to be late, like 8:30 tomorrow night when I come on. But aside from that, please have a wonderful Thanksgiving Day, and all the best to your family, your friends, and everyone. So my prayer for you is that you find love on Thanksgiving Day. And I call this done in the mind of God. And gratefully I say, and so it is.